Republicans seized control of the U.S. Senate after flipping seats held by Democrats, holding on to GOP incumbents and wrestling away the majority for the first time in 4 years. Democrats watched their efforts to salvage their slim majority slip out of reach, failing to oust firebrand Republicans Ted Cruz of Texas and Rick Scott of Florida. Tracy Furness has more.
It was a fierce competition for a Senate majority, and it came down to just a handful of seats. Nebraska pushed Republicans over the top, with incumbent GOP Senator Deb Fischer pushing back a strong challenge from independent newcomer Dan Osborne. Republicans also managed to flip one seat in West Virginia, with the election of Jim Justice replacing retiring Senator Joe Manchin. Meanwhile, Republican U.S. Senator Ted Cruz won re-election in Texas to a third term after a campaign in which he criticized his Democratic challenger as too liberal. Cruz defeated U.S. Representative Colin Allred of Dallas, who tried to position himself as a moderate in the race.
And I want to thank every Texan across our great state who has stood with us in this fight, who worked and who fought for Texas. I want to congratulate Colin Allred on a hard-fought campaign. And I want to say to all of those who didn't support me, you have my word that I will fight for you, for your jobs, for your safety, and for your constitutional rights.
The U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives make up the upper and lower houses of Congress, both with the power to block bills. With a Republican president and a Republican Senate, new bills will be easier to pass, having no majority opposition to block them. The Senate also plays a role in confirming the cabinet.
The Senate plays a really important role in confirming the president's cabinet. For some of those national security positions, the Senate usually confirms them right after the presidential inauguration on January 20th. The Senate also plays a really important role for judicial nominations, and that will become really clear if there's a vacancy on the U.S. Supreme Court.
The House of Representatives races are in a state-by-state slog. Early results show Democrats holding on in California's 33rd and 38th districts, and Democrats in New York unseating two first-term Republican incumbents, one in the Hudson Valley and the other in a district that includes Syracuse, rolling back some recent GOP gains in the state. Republicans win big in Michigan's 7th House district, including the state capital. For Republicans, winning the House is a chance to gain full control of Congress as they try to sweep into power. For Democrats, a House win will give them an important check on the GOP's power and force compromise in Washington. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Donald Trump is vying for a second term as President of the United States. After losing to Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential election, the businessman and former reality TV star vowed to return for part 2 of Making America Great Again. It has been a roller coaster ride for the 78-year-old over the past 4 years. Now speak Kareem with more.
Businessman, reality TV star, president, convicted felon, and a messiah-like figure for the faithful. Adored or hated, Donald J. Trump has nonetheless entrenched himself into the American psyche. As he plotted his return to the Oval Office, the 78-year-old New Yorker has lost none of the populist, rambling, plain-talking charisma that swept him to victory in 2016. Seen as clownish by some Democrats and a savior by supporters, the Republican candidate says his 4 years as president is among the greatest in American history, delighting conservatives by appointing 3 Supreme Court justices, enacting business-friendly tax cuts, and rolling back Obama-era regulations, pulling the United States out of the Iran nuclear deal, moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, and quitting the Paris Climate Agreement. Some of his most dramatic moments came during the post-2020 election events, after saying his loss to Joe Biden was rigged. He is accused of fomenting crowds at a January 6, 2021 rally in Washington, D.C. The world watched in disbelief as hardline Trump supporters smashed into the seat of U.S. Congress in Capitol Hill as lawmakers sought refuge.
This was a disgrace.
His criminal charges include the keeping of highly classified government documents at his Mar-a-Lago, Florida resort and trying to overturn the results of the election. He has already been convicted of falsifying business records. Donald Trump was born on June 14, 1946 in Queens, New York. He joined his father's real estate management company, and in the late 70s, the Trump brand name went global. A reality TV star for 14 seasons with The Apprentice, immortalizing the phrase, "You're fired." While in office, he survived 2 impeachments.
Take a look at what happened.
And on the campaign trail in Pennsylvania this year, he escaped death when a would-be assassin's bullet grazed his ear. A triumphant fist in the air enhancing his cult hero status. Greatness in their eyes for the man who says he fulfilled his vow to make America great again. And now he has a chance to do it again. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
Many people in Hong Kong are also keeping a close watch at the hotly contested election in the U.S. They include the international business community in the SAR. Some members of the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong hope the new U.S. president will improve China-U.S. relations to foster a more stable business environment. Hosted by the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, this election watch party and central broadcast is trickling in of poll results live since early in the morning, with participants having different policy inclinations.
Generally, we tend to go for Kamala Harris for her social policies and also kind of pushing for entrepreneurship. And I think for Trump, it's mostly on the business side of the climate change advocacy and the sustainable advocacy. I mean, both will have opportunities, but at the same time, there will be different challenges that the world has to kind of take responsibility.
When the U.S. and China were working together, it really worked well. So I really hope we can get back to that kind of mutual respect again. Trump, I think because they want to deal with one initiative, more business-oriented.
What I worry about is this EV tariff consideration, because the world needs more, greening, and a lot of the production, I think, of EVs, we should be open to spreading those. So that'll have an impact because a lot of the trade comes through China itself and here in Hong Kong.
Eden Boon, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, said the city's business community is agile vis-a-vis policy changes.
If Trump becomes president, there may be some new measures, new policies that come up that will be even more negative. We already know that he wants to impose the tariff. But he himself also said that he is able to make a deal with China, with Xi Jinping. What that is, nobody knows. And also, finally, it depends on who the political appointees, who he selects to manage the departments. Because, people say that many of those people that he may pick, have a very negative view of China. 2025 will really be a year where they'll be watching to see what comes.
It marks the first time after the pandemic that the American Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong hosts the election watch parties. They also give out these pins from both the Democratic and Republican sides to participants. International affairs commentator Dr. Chiu Yu-lok said Trump has garnered a lot of grassroots votes in battleground states. Chiu said the assassination attempt against Trump has been key in portraying him as a national hero, tough and fearless in the face of adversity, which resonates with American ideals. Associate Professor Tam Wai Keung of the Education University of Hong Kong, meanwhile, predicts tougher tariff policies under Trump's leadership, citing the 60% tariff hikes against China after he took office in 2016. The police have arrested 275 people on suspicion of staging traffic accidents to obtain financial assistance amounting to a total of $14 million. The cases were referred to the force by the Social Welfare Department. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The police made the first arrest related to the alleged staged traffic accidents at the start of last month, involving 182 men and 93 women aged between 18 and 64. Some have a triad background. According to the law, if residents are involved in traffic accidents and are issued 3-day sick leaves or hospitalized, they could apply for financial assistance from the Social Welfare Department. In March, the department suspected some individuals submitted forged documents to apply for the financial assistance and referred the cases to the police. Further investigations unveiled 121 cases of suspected scams related to staged traffic accidents, with the money involved in each case ranging from $2,000 to $150,000. Some of the scams included the provision of as many as 180 days sick leave. The most serious case involved a private car hitting a double-decker bus in a traffic accident in March last year. 11 fraudsters were involved, and the authorities were cheated of $700,000. The police said the scammers waited at different stops to board the same double-decker before a prearranged vehicle crashed into the bus to create the fake accident. 11 of 14 victims were members of a syndicate. Many of those involved in the staged accidents were in heavy debt and were pressured by the creditors to commit the crime to pay it back. Meanwhile, the Social Welfare Department said they will seek to recover the earlier payments from 182 people. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The observatory will consider whether to issue the standby signal number 1 late Friday or early Saturday. This as tropical cyclone Yin Shing has been upgraded to a severe typhoon and is set to enter within 800 kilometers of Hong Kong between Thursday night and Friday morning. Yin Shing was located at 550 kilometers northeast of Manila as of noon today and is expected to move along a northwesterly path at 12 kilometers per hour towards Luzon. The city is expected to experience cloudier skies and stronger waves throughout the weekend. The airport's 3-runway system is set to become fully operational at the end of this month. This with a marathon set to be held on its middle runway next Sunday. For the event, the airport authority will deploy more than 2,000 airport staff to ensure runner and flight safety. It will be the first races to be held at the airport in 26 years. Participants can choose to run at the 10, 5, or 3-kilometer events. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.